The only thing that I can think of that's really the definition of horror show is the fact that I finally got a haircut in the middle of this pandemic and I just roasted myself, which is weird enough. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 16 of Under the Middle Rope. I'm your host, Jose Tabuada, and today is our horror show Extreme Rules predictions show. And I have to say off the bat, this is one pay-per-view where a lot of us were just questioning the decisions, the matches, the stipulations, and anything related to it. It's just a rant-filled roast show because this whole thing is weird. We know that, but it is what it is. It's another pay-per-view. The Under the Middle Rope Championship is on the line again, where Pete Atkinson has to defend it, even though I'm sure he doesn't want to. RJ Stacy, Andrew Wolf-Woolman, we're all back. The same people to predict again, which is totally cool because these guys are entertaining, and there's no complaints with that. But they're all here again to predict, and I know they've all had their fair share to say with stuff around this pay-per-view. So the only thing I can say now is just sit back, relax, and enjoy our Extreme Rules prediction show. All right, everybody, welcome to the discussion. The usual gang is here. Wolf, RJ, current podcast champion, Pete. We're ready for this what we're assuming is called a pay-per-view at this rate, because what this is I don't even know. I was ranting to these guys before we started recording. I've been ranting all week because there is just so much things that just don't make sense. So I may be in a bit of a snappy mood because this is just ridiculous. All of it is ridiculous. So, any thoughts before we start this, gentlemen? Anybody?
Yeah. What does a horror show mean in America? Because over here it basically means something that is terrible, awful, bad, a car crash.
I believe
it basically means something that is dreadful rather than just scary.
I feel like it's supposed to be like scary movie, like scary.
It's either a scary
horror.
movie. It's either a scary movie or hearing Wolf talk about Golden Girls. One of them is a horror show. You know, I can't confirm which one.
I haven't even talked yet. You're already.
That second definition is kind of what we go by. When it's so terrible that nobody wants to see it, nobody wants to hear it.
Yeah,
when
right.
someone says
in America
that show was a horror show, we'd go.
Let's let Mr. Woltman defend himself here.
In America, there's a movie called The Rocky Horror Picture Show, starring Tim Curry. And what I'm believing is that halfway through the pay-per-view, Tim Curry is going to come out and actually entertain us, unlike everyone in WWE right now. But, you know, who knows?
To be fair, Wolf's got a valid point. I would rather watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show than this.
Can we just watch that instead on Sunday? Let's do that.
We'll just like live stream the reaction to the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
All right, gentlemen, let's get into this because it is. Right now there are 6 matches. We're gonna start off with the match that we're going to assume is for Extreme Rules because nobody knows. People thought it was official for Extreme Rules, and it's not listed anywhere. Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus in a bar fight. Again, nobody knows when this is. We don't even know we should even be predicting this. Again, this whole storyline touches back to about Backlash, you know, with the whole DUI situation, whatnot, and the urine test and everything. And now here we are, and all their segments on SmackDown are about bars with bartenders and raising glasses. I don't know, but again, nobody knows if this is official. So we're going to predict it, assuming that it is. If it's not, then we'll take it out of the graphic and make everybody's life easy. But at the time of this whole recording, and even leading up to it, nobody knows. So, Wolf, let's start with you, and we'll circle the wagon. Let's go.
I need this feud to end now. I'm done with it. I was done with it the second that they had the car crash segment. I don't know why we're keeping this going. I don't know what the hell a bar fight is or how one wins. I don't want to see this match. I just want Jeff Hardy to get out of a storyline that he's already done twice before with CM Punk and Jeff Hardy and Samoa Joe. It's just uncomfortable. Matt Hardy's even coming out saying that he doesn't want this to happen anymore.
It's been bad. It's
awful. It's annoying. I need it to stop. But since it's not, if it's going to happen, give the win to Jeff Hardy, and let's all just wipe our memories and pretend this never happened.
So you're going for Jeff?
I'm going for Jeff.
Audrey.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you have to go for Jeff. I don't want to really repeat what Wolf just said because I kind of agree. We don't really need to see this anymore. But if they're going to go down this storyline, you kind of have to finish it with like the happy ending, right? So Jeff Hardy's kind of got to come out on top here if this match goes on at Extreme Rules. So yeah, I'm going with Jeff too.
I'm really trying to figure out, like, as I was writing down like everybody's names to write down the predictions, that I put Sheamus instead of Pete, and I'm sorry for that. So Pete, let's I'm pretty serious. Pete, your pick. Sorry.
To be fair, I would love to have Sheamus's body. So, like, I'm an
Fair.
overweight guy. Like, he is, like, not. So I would. I want to first of all apologize because going into the last event, I was very much saying that I was kind of behind this feud. I didn't mind it too much, and I was like, "Oh, Sheamus will win this one. They'll keep it going for a month." And then Jeff Hardy will win at Extreme Rules, and that'll be interesting enough. It went downhill very, very quickly for me. And this is now just, get it off my TV. I agree. I'm done with it. Jeff Hardy should win this one. I will say this isn't the first bar brawl that WWE have done. They used to do it back in, like, I think one of the Vengeance events had like a bar brawl.
Something like that.
Maybe 2003. I think it was at the APA.
Sounds like an APA thing.
So this isn't the first one they've done. So if it's along those lines, it might be entertaining. But yeah, it's terrible. Get it off my screen. Jeff Hardy should win. Give him his win back. Let's move on.
Like I could see it being like a prepackaged, like still like pretty entertaining match, but the way they got to this is just kind of like it's ugly.
Of course,
but I could see them putting on some sort of performance. Jeff and Sheamus are good. Their prepackaged stuff's been good. So I mean, I could see it ending up being entertaining at the very least.
I'm going for Jeff as well. And again, like I don't want, like kind of like what RJ said. Ironically, I don't want to repeat everything that everybody's been saying, but it's this weird. Like I think somebody told me that we're slowly entering WCW 2000 days. I don't know if that's. I don't know if I want to go there, but I would love to bring it up for discussion because it's just a mess. Let's move down. Asuka, Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship. Sasha has now turned into that Charlotte role of appearing on every brand. Same with Bayley, of course, Raw, NXT, SmackDown, and it ended up asking Asuka for a title shot because when we all thought it was going to be Bayley at Extreme Rules, nope, we're still holding on to that tight to the point where they're still the women's tag team champions, her and Bayley, but here we are. I'm just going to go off the bat and say Asuka because you need, well, I mean, I'm saying Asuka because I feel like this is kind of an easy give, like an easy decision, especially with the tag team title still intact with them. And because a lot of people, next month is SummerSlam. It is the biggest party of the summer, which we're all excited for. And there's still no signs of a breakup. And if you're still the tag champions, I don't see how that doesn't lead to that because I thought this would have been like Bayley costing her the title. I don't know. I'm just going to say Asuka because... Yeah, Wolf.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to put down a parlay and say that whatever happens, the Asuka, Sasha Banks, and Nikki Cross Bayley matches will be back to back. I just feel like that's the natural progression. I just see that happening.
Yeah, that.
So I'm calling that my sure thing for this. Much safer than my sure thing for the last pay-per-view. I'll say that. I don't see them taking the title off of Asuka. You know. Because you'd have to split up Sasha and Bayley and put them on different shows because I'm not watching the Raw Championship go back and forth. I mean, that's just my opinion. And I think Asuka has more momentum than she's ever actually had as a champion on the main roster, so I don't see ending that now. And they're also kind of starting to plant the seeds of a feud between her and Kairi Sane, right? Like if you watched the match last night. So I feel like it needs to stay on Raw. There's too many competitors for Asuka on Raw for it to go to Sasha Banks. And, you know, Sasha and Bayley are going to feud. You know, it'll take as long as it takes for, you know, the dragons to arrive on Game of Thrones, but it's going to happen at some point. So I'm going to say that Asuka retains.
See, again, like just to piggyback off of you, Wolf, again, my worry is like, when do we do the breakup? Because I don't think it'll, again, like those if they lost the tag titles last night on Raw, I would have been way more confident, would have maybe changed my pick and maybe even predict a potential champion versus champion at SummerSlam.
Well, hang on.
And
it's not outside the realm of possibility for them to break up while they are still tag champions. I mean, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose broke up like immediately after winning the tag team championship. And, not to go too far into New Japan territory, but Evil is still technically a champion with LIJ, with the 3-way tag belts. So it's not impossible to break up while still holding a championship. And in some ways, that's almost a better story point to try to work with, like coexisting to defend a championship with somebody you don't even like anymore.
Fair point. And of course, John Cena, Shawn Michaels, another example leading into WrestleMania 23. You're not wrong. I just wonder if we're going to get it at SummerSlam, and it doesn't look like it, which sucks because I think that was the perfect opportunity for these two, but I don't know. A lot can still happen. Pete?
Yeah, I was really confident here, and then Jose just said something that's really thrown a wrench to me, and that was a champ versus champ match. And I could see WWE going, SummerSlam will have a Bayley versus Sasha match to see who can be hold all 3 of the belts.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
And so you just went...
You mean
that's something they could definitely do. I am still going to go with Asuka because I don't think they will, but that has definitely thrown a little bit of doubt in my mind on this one, which I didn't previously have. I'm fed up with Sasha appearing all 3 shows. Like, I know this match is going to be good. Sasha's great, Asuka's great, but I don't need it. I don't need to have 3 different feuds going on at once. I don't need it to be feuding with Asuka. I don't need it to be feuding then with Io Shirai down on NXT and then feuding with like Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss on SmackDown. It's too much. I don't want to see anyone on 3 shows. I wouldn't have wanted to see Stone Cold on 3 shows back in the Attitude Era. Like, I don't want to see anyone on 3 shows, as great as they are. Just enough is enough. Deal one thing at a time. And it's such a disrespect to the Raw Women's division that you can't go. We've got nobody who can face Asuka. So we're going to bring someone across from SmackDown to do it. And, like, put Ruby Riott in the match. Put Bianca Belair in the match. You've got Shayna Baszler. I guess that's maybe down the line. But
yeah,
you don't even have to win, but just elevate them into the title picture to put a few eyes on them. Don't give it a SmackDown superstar. So yeah, sod this build up is a load of rubbish, but yeah, I'll go with Asuka.
No, I'm 100% with Pete. And if anybody that defends that, come on, guys, let's wake up a little bit here, RJ.
And also, even worse, people who defend this but hated it with Charlotte. Sod that. It's exactly the same thing.
That's a fair point. RJ.
I do think some of it comes down to who they have available right now, though, because I know there was all that going on with like the COVID testing and like who's really available right now. Like Lana came out saying that her husband and parents have it, so she's obviously not available. Lana's obviously not the women's champion material, but she is just an obvious example of a lot of people are probably not available right now. So maybe that's why Sasha and Bayley are appealing on all the shows right now, because they have kind of been on fire despite being on every show, and they are great. So maybe that's why they don't need to be main eventing every show. They don't need to main event Raw and then come and main event SmackDown again and then main event NXT. So they don't need to do all that. But because of I'm really wrestling with this one, because if a title is going to change, I do think that it is this one. Because they do seem to be pretty high on Sasha and Bayley right now. And as much as that's almost like a disrespect to Asuka, not really giving her a chance to, defend her title, I think it is very possible that they do want to get all the belts onto Sasha and Bayley to potentially move that into their feud. I'm not sure that it's actually going to happen at SummerSlam yet because, there's no fans yet. There's not a whole lot of people available, so they might want to keep them on with all the belts and on the same team because they have been on fire. So I do think that there is a chance that this does happen, but I'm still going to pick Asuka because I don't think it is going to happen. But I think this is the most likely championship to change hands on Sunday.
That's really
not counting the 24/7.
No, not counting the 24/7.
Oh yeah, that's going to change hands twice on Sunday.
Some TikTok guy is going to come in and win it.
You bring up a great point, RJ. That's an interesting point. Like if Bayley and Sasha gain control of all main roster women championships, that would be.
I could see dissension happening from that too. Like, oh, I'm the best. No, I'm the best. I've got all the titles. Which could turn into that championship versus championship match that Pete brought up and Jose brought up earlier.
The tag team champions.
The other thing on that as well is, if you remember when the women actually main evented WrestleMania, they threw the SmackDown title in there for no reason when they
absolutely no reason
to make it even bigger. If they wanted Bayley versus Sasha to main event SummerSlam, they might go, right, we'll put all of the women's belts into the main event. So it's an even bigger deal. So then it's worthy of the main event almost. So
I don't think they need to do that, but in their mind, I feel like that's something that they should do.
WWE's head.
So insane that would anybody like to make a change? Anybody going once? Going
I'm sticking with Oscar, sorry, but I don't think it'd be super exciting or special one.
If I wasn't the champ, I think I would. But
I'm not being that stupid again.
Well,
shut up.
Okay. So if Wolf talked about the parlay with the back-to-back, why don't we do back-to-back here on the podcast? The SmackDown Women's Championship, Bayley, Nikki Cross. I want to say this is going to be quick because basically all the reasons that we said about Sasha, you may as well say about Bayley, but I'm going to go off of the bat and say Bayley because again, all the points that we made for the Raw women's and Sasha could very, very well be applied to Bayley. So Bayley, Wolf.
Well, nah. I was gonna say it's gonna be a great match, but Nikki Cross definitely feels like a throwaway contender. I'd rather they do Alexa Bliss actually as her opponent because they've gone to the well of Bayley versus Alexa a couple times, but never with the dynamics reversed. I feel like that would have been a really cool thing to see. I mean, we're getting a little bit of that now since Alexa and Nikki are partners, but not to the degree as if like Alexa was the actual challenger. I'm not going to say it's completely impossible because nothing is impossible in WWE, but Bayley's retaining. I'm going with Bayley.
RJ.
How possible is it that Sasha wins and Bayley loses?
I think it's more likely than the reverse.
I think it's more likely than Bayley and Sasha both winning. I don't know, actually.
No,
now that I'm starting to talk myself out of that. That might be the least likely. Okay, yeah. So I don't know.
It's not the least likely, but it's also not very likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. The least. Yeah, no, I think that is the least.
The least likely is them losing everything. Because one way or another, Bayley or Sasha is walking out with with one of the women's championships.
Yeah, because I think the match is going to be for one of the titles. So I mean that makes sense.
So
but anyway, back on my prediction. I do like Nikki, but I do agree with Wolf that this would be kind of a more high profile match with Alexa. But Alexa maybe they want to protect her from losing, so they want to throw Nikki out there to give Bayley an easier win. So this should be Bayley. I do like Nikki, and it wouldn't be the biggest upset in the world, but it's Bayley.
And Pete.
Yeah, this is almost what I think they should have done with the Raw belt as well, and it feels like a contender in there for Bayley to beat. Like they could have done it on Raw, like I said, with someone like Bianca Belair. But yeah, we could have had the Alexa Bayley match. Could have had a rehash of the kendo stick on a pole match. That would be great.
Bayley, this is your life this time.
Yeah, just do the exact same thing in reverse. Let's just do that. No, it's a throwaway match. Bayley's holding onto that belt. I would be shocked if she loses it. She's got a great character at the moment. Possibly one of the most entertaining I find on the whole roster. So yeah, she's keeping the belt at least.
All right. Well, that was that's a focus. Let's move on to the United States Championship. Apollo Crews and MVP. Apollo Crews nowhere to be seen in the last few weeks, and people are slowly getting worried because of the news about there's some positive tests coming up in relation to the pandemic, COVID. If Crews is one of the people that have been tested positive, nobody knows. But of course, MVP unveiling that nice United States Championship. I know we had a big talk about it last week here on the podcast. It's there. I'm still warming up to it. Let's go reverse. Pete, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm going with Apollo Crews to keep that belt for now. I feel like if they were going to have him drop the belt, he would have been taking on Lashley and not MVP in this match. So based on the fact it's MVP and MVP's more there now to put people over, I can't see him picking up the US title in this day and age.
RJ.
Yeah, so because I wasn't part of last week, I do want to say that I love the United States title. I think it is beautiful. I think it is gorgeous. I think it is one of the best titles that they have in the entire industry. Anyway, back onto the match. I think It's so nice, man. It looks like a prize.
I know. I just like I think that's definitely one of the higher praises that we got compared to Pete, myself, and Wolf.
Oh, it looks like bling, man. It's sexy. Anyway, back.
Jesus, RJ.
Anyway,
just get a room already.
back on the match. I do think that Apollo is going to win because, like Pete said, that MVP is kind of more to put people over. He's putting Lashley over, and I do think his next opponent might be Cedric Alexander. After they had their kind of MVP had his chat with him on Raw last week. Cedric's kind of getting into a little bit of a feud with him too, and then Ricochet's there as well. I do think that, well, if MVP wins, the next Ricochet might be the next contender. But if Apollo wins, I think that Cedric might turn on Ricochet and then go with MVP and take on Apollo next. So I'm going with Apollo.
Wolf?
Okay. We all can't agree on all of the matches. Otherwise, this would be a really boring predictions contest.
Yep.
I'm going to go with MVP. Now, hear me out. I feel like the fact that he introduced the new belt might mean that he might be the one to carry the new belt. I'm not saying it's extremely likely that MVP wins, but I think it could happen. And that's why I'm going with him. I feel like, you're right. He is there to put people over, but he can't keep putting people over if he doesn't have anything to back it up. I mean, if you want to build up his credibility, you give him a championship, and that gives him a higher probability to be able to put people over. You can't just be a jobber to the stars. Like, I think that's kind of why Cassius Ohno fizzled like a balloon in NXT when he came back, because everyone saw him and just assumed, oh, he's there to put everyone over. If MVP has a big win under his belt and becomes a champion, I think it's like I think he's like building up the next challenger even better, because you beat the U.S. champion, you beat MVP. So this is my divergence. I'm going with MVP.
Nice.
I'm going with MVP as well, because I mean a lot of people forget. I know, like, for this generation of WWE fans, it's like people are being introduced to MVP for the first time. Did we all forget that he was a solid United States Championship during his mid-2000s run? The guy was incredible. The guy was so good. I was a huge fan of him. It was like that title suited him perfectly. And in fact, I think it's time for a reunion. And if I need to bring up real life situations, plug your ears, kayfabe lovers. If this COVID situation is intense and if it's true, it's probably going to go to MVP, but I'm not banking on that. I'm banking on the fact that this is a credible United States champion. He's definitely one of the longer ones. I think he's up there with 200 plus days in combined total days. I believe
it was when he was feuding with Matt Hardy and the likes, which was great feud actually.
Matt Hardy.
The basketball match, the one-on-one match, that was just beautiful.
He's had his feuds with the United States Championship. Also entered a WrestleMania with the United States Championship against a man that I don't know if I should say, but here we are now. So I'm gonna go with MVP. I liked Wolf's rationale with it, and I was just gonna back it up, just saying that he was a very credible and a very good United States Championship. All right, next match.
I want to add one thing. If MVP
before I go on,
if MVP does win, could you see that maybe turning into dissension between him and Lashley, where Lashley doesn't really have a belt? He thinks he's a main event contender, and MVP was supposed to come back and manage him. He's the one that's going out winning championships now. Do you think that can maybe turn maybe Lashley face? He turns on MVP. Do you think that could potentially happen?
It could.
I like them together. Is the thing.
Oh, so do I.
That's what I was about to say. I think Lashley needs MVP. I think Lashley is just so much better with MVP by his side. I do not want to see Lashley out on his own again. I will say, actually, though, just on one of RJ's earlier points, if Apollo Crews does keep that title, I would love to actually see a triple threat match between him, Ricochet, and Cedric Alexander, because that could really steal the show.
That would be great.
All right, the next match is I'm gonna be ranting like a son of a gun.
I'm gonna get a root beer.
The eye for an eye match: Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins, and of course, people were asking, what is an eye for an eye match? And it is exactly how you would interpret it, where the stipulation is the winner, first person to, if I'm not mistaken, the first person to pull somebody's eye out wins the match. If I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's true.
I don't even know where to start with this. It's just, like, I'm gonna go for last because I have a lot to say on it. Pete, let's start with you.
you just go to Wolf quickly?
Oh, Wolf. Okay, sorry. We're going to Wolf.
All right.
Oh, the glasses. Yes, you wear glasses?
Sometimes when I want to look smart.
Oh.
I'm not sure what we're doing anymore. I don't know why. What is WWE? Like, this started out a fun story, you know. Seth Rollins going after a vet like Rey Mysterio. And I enjoyed the build at first. But that started 2 months ago. Like, right after, the night after Money in the Bank is when we started doing this. We've been doing this for 2 months, and it's always the same thing. Or Seth Rollins comes to the ring holding a Rey Mysterio mask he bought off the internet, ranting and doing some vague religious bullcrap, and then Rey Mysterio interrupts on Skype, yells about revenge and family and Dominic and blah, 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 and then there's a match between Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy or whoever, like some combination of those characters, and it's just nonsense. So they started out with a really good story, but then they stretched it way too long, way too far, and now we're at the point where we're doing an eye for an eye match, which might have been one of the best things that Lucha Underground would ever do, but not something I would ever want to see in a WWE ring because I have no idea how you do that without it seeming corny. Frankly, I feel like Seth Rollins is going to come out as Loki and pull out, you know, Rey Mysterio's eye using that thing from the Avengers. Either way, I don't know why we're doing this. I don't want to do this. I'm interested in seeing how they do it, but I need this to end also, like the Sheamus and Jeff Hardy feud. And just for the sake of it, I'm going to say Seth Rollins wins because it's easier to conceal, you know, not having an eye when you're already wearing a mask.
Pete?
Yeah, I think this is unfortunately just turned into a bit too overbooked nonsense. There's too many players involved now. Because you got Seth and Ray, who are having quite an interesting feud. The first time he attacked the eye with the steel steps, I was like, "This is brilliant. This segment is brilliant." But then you got Buddy Murphy still involved, which is fine. But then you got Aleister Black involved. You got Dominic involved. You got Kevin Owens involved, and there's just too many people, and it's become a bit too overbooked and contrived. Like, if they just focus down on Seth being like that Raw with Seth where he brutalized Ray and then was like, I don't know what happened. Like, what happened here? And you got so confused with all the ambulance stuff. I was so intrigued with Seth Rollins' character at that time. And now I'm a bit like, you've kind of killed it a bit and you've killed the momentum there. I'm going with Seth because I think he should get the win here more than Ray should. But I'm also a bit like, we're still in a PG era, right? I'm really struggling to see how yanking out somebody's eyeball on TV is going to pass for PG, especially if they do it in the CGI weight thing where they're trying to make it look like someone actually loses an eye.
Get the blood packets out.
I'm a bit concerned, but let's say.
RJ.
Yeah, you guys pretty much nailed it on the head already. Like, I thought this started off great, just like Pete said, when he brutalized him with the steps. I thought Seth's character was about to, you know, take off to a new place where, you know, we haven't seen Seth before, and I was really excited to see where he was taking his character. And then they just kind of start, you know, dragging it on for 2 months, just like Wolf said. So I mean, is Dominic eventually going to turn on Ray? Is that where they're heading with this? Is that why they're bringing him into the equation? Is he going to turn on Ray on Sunday? That's entirely possible, I think. I think that might be the reason why Seth ends up winning, is because he ends up getting help from Ray's kid. I think that's possible.
Eddie Guerrero's kid.
Yeah, Eddie Guerrero's kid. Sorry, I forgot about that. Well, no, he won it back legally in that ladder match.
He won it back legally in the ladder match.
He won it back legally in that
kid.
He won him back legally. Like,
that was less stupid than this.
That was awesome. I don't even care.
That was a great ladder match.
That was a good ladder match until Vicky came and just messed it up.
I just want to just sidetrack a bit, but there's nothing funnier in that match when you had when Eddie was hanging from the briefcase and eventually came down, right, waiting for the line to be pushed, and you hear him screaming, "Where the is Vicky? Where the was Vicky?" I'm sorry, it's one of the funniest things. I know I should sidetrack, but go, keep going.
Yeah. And I agree with the two of them that Seth Rollins kind of needs this win a little bit more than Ray, and it's probably going to be easier to cover up pulling somebody's eye out with the mask on. So that's pretty much the reasoning for Seth winning here. Who knows how this is going to go? I've been surprised by WWE's weird matches before, so I mean, it's going to be dumb. But I mean, I'm going to go into it with a semi-open mind.
Well, so here's what. So here's what's bugging me. All right, I'm gonna show this. It's a tweet from last night. Soak it in. This is the last time you'll ever see either Rey Mysterio or Seth Rollins with two eyes.
They had a match on top of a building, and somehow that wasn't the stupidest thing they've done this year.
Now, yeah. I've been criticized a lot. I have been targeted, by some people in our group chat. I've been in all seriousness, I've been targeted when I say sometimes we shouldn't take kayfabe too serious. Sometimes we should just let kayfabe be kayfabe. I'm a person that loves to blur the lines with kayfabe and a work and a shoot and a work. And I've been criticized for it because wrestling is wrestling, and you should just enjoy the kayfabe because that's the story that we're watching. I've been criticized, and anytime I try to fight back or like bark back or whatever, I'm the bad guy, and I've been portrayed as that, and it's. I get it, people love their kayfabe, whatever. Then you see this BS, then you see this bullshit, and then you're telling yourself, for somebody that loves kayfabe, or for somebody that is all about, just wanting things to make sense. How does that make sense? Do you really think that WWE would actually tell one of their employees, okay, so we're going to need one of you to lose an eye. I know it's going to be rough. I know you have kids. One is having a newborn. It's going to be about the newborn father. We're sorry. But if you can just legally sign this waiver so you can be okay with it and we can continue on with the storyline. Nobody's going to agree to that. And for people to criticize, let's say something like in AEW, for example, and then say, oh, that doesn't make kayfabe, that doesn't make sense kayfabe-wise, because, or like, it doesn't make sense kayfabe, it's not kayfabe because it doesn't make sense, it doesn't flow well, right? Because AEW wants to present itself as this realistic thing. How can you criticize that and then praise this? It just makes no sense whatsoever. And that's what makes me so mad about this match. It's like, guys, I get it. We're all kayfabe fans. We love to embrace the storyline of WWE. At what point do you just stop and say, okay, that's just ridiculous, but it's okay because it's WWE and they let them present their storylines? Complete utter bullshit. Garbage, hot garbage.
Why couldn't they just have an Extreme Rules match? Is anybody having a regular old Extreme Rules match? No. These guys could put on a great match. These guys are great competitors. Seth and Ray, that's an awesome match. What's with that?
I agree. But what I'm trying to say is at the end of the day, this is where we have to stop the whole AEW versus WWE argument. I know I feel like I should be bringing this, but it's just like this that just says stop. That's it. You know what? Just let them do what they want to do. Don't criticize one over the other. Don't praise one and then criticize the other. Don't say that. Don't get mad at somebody because they're saying they enjoyed a match with Orange Cassidy, for crying out loud. That's what bugs me a lot. But Pete, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I just can't wait for Seth Rollins to go home to his pregnant wife and say, "Don't worry, love. I've just agreed to sacrifice my eye in a wrestling match."
Stop it!
I can play with the baby. It just.
Here, kiddo, play with this.
Look, Daddy, look, I got an eye.
It's just a bouncy ball.
No, we don't play catch baseballs anymore. It's this is their WWE way.
Point is, we just to wrap up my rant, we really, really, really need to stop segments like this. We really need to stop saying that the show is good overall. No. Yeah, people need to wake up because this is just, if they're, again, I think for the most part people are laughing at this, but if there are people that are praising this, holy crap, I don't know what else to say.
We're all gonna love it. We're all gonna love it.
Wait,
I'm gonna pick Seth. I'm gonna pick Seth as well. I mean, I know our predictions right now are very, very, very boring, but there is no way you have one of your best talents on the roster lose an eye and then misses his super kicks left and right. And Rey Mysterio with the mask, he already has the eye patch on the mask. He already has a damn thing on his mask. He can easily say he already lost his eye. Oh no! Yeah. Like, what? He's gonna lose both? Sorry, anybody else have anything else to say?
Wolf? When they play the package before this match, It needs to end with a clip from Guardians of the Galaxy with Rocket Raccoon saying, "And one more thing, I'm gonna need that guy's eye." No, we don't need that. No.
Gee, did you have any last words?
Yeah, I just really do now want Seth Rollins to lose. Have to walk around with an eye patch for the rest of his life, and then his kid go up and go, "Daddy, why do you always wear like an eye patch?" He goes, "Well, when your mummy was pregnant with you as a little kid, I just went completely off the rails, took a luchador wrestler, stabbed his eye into a steel step, and from there we decided one of us needed to lose an eye."
Kids, I'm about to tell you about how I met your mother.
Yeah.
RJ, any last words with this?
No, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. I mean, I'm telling you, watch. We're all gonna come in here next Tuesday and be like, "That was the greatest match I've ever seen."
I touched on this before. I will say this: if this was happening in Lucha Underground, they would find a way to make it work.
Probably.
But in WWE, it doesn't.
No.
Well, the way I suggested they might do it is basically, because Ray wears a mask, you just have at one point during it, Rollins produces a fake eye and says, "I won the match." And then because Ray's too proud to take off his mask to prove otherwise, and it's like, "Ray, take off your mask so we can check if you still have an eye." It's like, "No, I can't do that." It's like, "Well, you lost." Seth wins. There you go. Move on.
Then the kid plays
Yeah,
music.
then he shows up at like TNA or something with both eyes, and he's like, "Yeah, that was."
How did he get his eye back? All right, let's move
That was
on.
just some bad creative.
What's May Mysterio doing in the Impact Zone?
May Mysterio.
All right, let's move on to another match where I think a lot of us are clueless about it, in which I thought was going to be for the Universal Championship, and it's not. I only found out, again, before this recording, because I was just getting ready to go, and Pete was the one to tell me this is not for the Universal Championship match. Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, in a Wyatt swamp fight. A Wyatt swamp fight. A Wyatt swamp fight. Not for the Universal Championship again. First time the championship is not being defended in a while. Braun Strowman, I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't know what else to say about this match. I really don't.
You see, you go Braun.
You going Braun?
Yeah, I'm going Braun because it's not for the title, but they just kind of still want to make him look strong. It's Bray Wyatt. It's not the Fiend. This is like Bray. In fact, this not only is this Bray Wyatt. This is like now I guess we can safely say vintage Bray Wyatt. We're going throwback Wyatt, which is weird to say because the throwback was not like 6 years ago. It's not even that long ago, but we're gonna call it a throwback Wyatt if I'm not mistaken. RJ, let's start with you. No, we don't start with RJ enough. RJ.
Yeah, you say the best for last usually. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go in again with an open mind on this one because the Bray specialty matches have mostly been pretty watchable. The House of Horrors was cool. But I think that this one could be the one at WrestleMania was cool. What the heck was that one called again? That wasn't the House of Horrors.
Firefly Funhouse match.
Firefly Funhouse. I'm an idiot. Yeah, that's the one I like. But I also don't think Bray's I think Bray's gonna win because I think that this has another match in it with the Fiend, and I don't know if they get to that point without Bray at least taking one of these first couple matches, even if they aren't for the title. So I think that Bray's gonna win. Bray doesn't usually lose his Bray Wyatt matches very often. I think that it's going to be a Bray match. I think Bray wins, and then it moves on to Braun versus The Fiend at SummerSlam, where they probably put the title back on Bray. So yeah, going Bray because I think that he needs to win in order to actually earn himself that title match as The Fiend.
Pete.
Yeah, so I think there's about 3 ways this can go. It could go very much like good in terms of it could be the Firefly Funhouse match, but with Braun and they relive their history together and it's weird segments, it's weird takes and go back through it and they do that type of match and that would be excellent. I think the more likely is it's going to be a House of Horrors match and it's going to be dreadful and it's going to be overproduced terribleness. But like I said, keep an open mind, it might not be that. I am going with Bray purely because the Universal title is not on the line, and I think it's going to be one of these weird scenarios, and they don't want Braun to drop the Universal title in one of those weird scenarios. So they've gone, we want Bray to win, we don't want Braun to lose the title, we'll just make it a non-title match because it's going to be weird, and it's going to be a weird way to do it. The way I hope it goes is we're just going to get a recreation of the Princess Bride and the Fire Swamp, and they're going to have to battle through some fire spurts, the lightning sand, and they're gonna have to pull the way out, and then suddenly we're gonna get some ROUSs coming through, and just go, oh my god, what's that giant rat? That's an ROUS. It's a rodent of unusual size. Pull them through, and they're gonna have to team up together to fight off the rodents of unusual size, and they're gonna bring back the Wyatt family in a one-off. We have to fight off the deadly rats in a surge to get out of the swamp, and then at the last minute, Shrek's going to walk in and go, "Get out of my swamp!"
I knew Shrek was going to make a cameo here. Like I knew an appearance was going to come in.
Yeah, so that's what I want. I want the Princess Bride, like basically recreation, and then basically Braun walks off with Bray in his loving arms together to go and get married.
Oh,
sorted.
We have gone off the rails here at the podcast. We have all.
That's all I can make of this match.
Gone off the rails. Wolf?
Well, now I have to tear up my notes because Pete took everything I was going to say.
I had the Princess Bride.
Damn it. All right, fine. I'm going to improv here. I know I have a reputation for saying stupid things about Braun Strowman matches before they happen. And goddamn, I know this is going to sound like one of the stupidest yet, and that says something. But if you're calling something the horror show at Extreme Rules, why wouldn't you make it a House of Horrors match, especially if it's Bray Wyatt's specialty? You know, the horror. Specialty? Horror. Why wouldn't you do a House of Horrors at the horror show? My God, that just...
it was terrible.
Oh, and this is going to be the Citizen Kane of cinematic matches. Please tell me that after Braun Strowman. Please tell me that after Braun Strowman does a running power slam on an alligator. No, okay.
I'm down to that though.
Bray Wyatt's
that would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Bray Wyatt's going to win. It's a non-title match. Much like it was the House of Horrors match, he wins these non-title matches in weird settings. So Bray Wyatt's going to win. What I want is, The Fiend obviously win at SummerSlam. What I really want, other than Pete's, Princess Bride Rats Army story, and this is similar to my Boneyard match. I want the ring in the center of the Performance Center, but just covered in mud. The ring posts are made out of branches. The ropes are made out of vines, and there's mud in the center of the ring. And
that
the winner
sounds plausible. That's what makes me mad. That sounds actually doable.
On the outside,
the greatest match ever.
And then
Michael Cole gets eaten by an alligator. Yes,
there will be 3 alligators, and Bray Wyatt wins, and then he just makes his rocking chair appear out of nowhere and say, "My friend's coming for the title at SummerSlam. Let him in." Something like that. I don't know. I just want... Pete kind of, took my whole gimmick of having absurd and overbooked nonsense, and now I really want to see his idea rather than mine, but obviously Bray Wyatt's going to win.
No, wait. No.
As long as an alligator eats Michael Cole.
I was gonna say, I don't want alligator.
Wait. Alligator, Michael Cole and Corey Graves wearing alligator costumes with their headsets on. I don't believe it. Well, that's hard to wrap your teeth around. Okay, I'm gonna get a root beer. I'm sorry.
I don't know how to explain what just happened, other than I just realized I'm the only one.
I think we might need to scale that back a bit.
I'm the only one that picked Braun.
Yeah, you're different at some point.
Yeah.
Well,
me and Pete are still equal. I'm pretty sure. I gotta pick apart from him to take his title. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you guys are polar opposites, and which means that we will be entering a tiebreaker situation very, very shortly.
Well, right now,
I'm fairly sure we're not going to differ on the last match.
I don't think so either. It is the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, a rivalry that
you're picking Dolph too.
For the WWE Championship, a rivalry that has gone back years and for a few years, which included Drew's return to WWE, the tag team championship he had with Dolph, the breakup, the rivalry, if you wanted to call it a rivalry, and here we are now about to pick Ziggler to win the WWE Championship. Of course, now there is a stipulation to be added to this match, which apparently won't be announced until the week of, or the night of, which is for the Sunday. Dolph Ziggler will pick the stipulation. Of course, it could be anything. At this rate, I don't think you'll put a Hell in a Cell inside the Performance Center. If you do, I'll be very impressed.
The Performance Center is a cell.
Yeah,
it is, isn't it? Yeah. I'm gonna go first because I'm assuming this is gonna be the easy pick. It's obviously Drew McIntyre. There's no way you have Dolph Ziggler entering the biggest party of the summer with the WWE Championship. Don't think that'll be the case, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Drew. Wolf.
Okay, so here's my thing. If Dolph Ziggler was gonna be a thing, it would have happened a long time ago. I mean, I want to make jokes, but Dolph Ziggler is the joke. You know, this is like, I've never seen a feud that's more filler than this. You could have like, you know, the creamy filling of Fig Newtons versus Drew McIntyre, and that'd be less of a filler feud. But oh my God, if Dolph Ziggler wins, then I don't know what to say. I'm sure it'll be a hell of a match because Dolph Ziggler's a hell of a performer, but even I'm not stupid enough to think that he has a chance. And just saying that out loud, I think Vince McMahon just heard me like, I'll show you who has got a chance, god damn it. Put it on that blonde-haired freak.
Put it on the Spears Squad.
God damn it.
Put it on the Spears
Put it
Squad.
on Nikki.
Yeah, god damn it. No, but it's Drew McIntyre. It's Drew McIntyre. Oh my God, it's Drew McIntyre. Yeah.
Is it Drew McIntyre?
It is Drew McIntyre.
RJ.
Yep, it is a former 3MB member, Drew McIntyre, who will be
Heath
winning
Slater.
this. Yeah, I was gonna say, he did get a big win over Heath Slater on SmackDown last week, or Raw last week. Sorry. Yeah, it's gotta be Drew. But if I was Dolph, I would make the stipulation: if I get pinned or submitted, the championship changes hands. Like, we're putting it in Dolph's spot here. Like, we are putting it like right in Dolph's hands. Like, he can do whatever he wants. He's picking the stipulation.
The stipulation is Drew cannot win this match.
Drew cannot win the stipulation, no matter what. But yeah, I really wonder what it's going to be. It's probably, did he say it would be something never before seen or something like that? Or is it just going to be some new name for an Extreme Rules match?
Never before
like
seen.
An Extreme Rules match.
Never before seen it. Dolph Ziggler wins the match.
But yeah, this would be a very shocking victory for Dolph. I feel like if he was going to have an upset WWE title match victory, it was going to be a long time ago, like Wolf has already said. Like Dolph, he's going to sell the hell out of that Claymore. He's going to look like he got knocked out. He might do a backflip for all I know, but it's going to be a good match, and it's got to be Drew. This is not the guy that's taking the title off Drew. And I do think that Drew might actually get back into it with Lashley. I think that there's still a possibility there because MVP did, he was mentioning on his show, about Drew still, and I feel like there's still a little bit of stuff there. So I think that Ziggler might be a filler feud, and then they go back to a Lashley feud.
I just want to point out, it'd be kind of funny if you do create a stipulation, Drew can't win, but Drew gets himself disqualified, and the title can't change hands because of a disqualification. Ziggler still wins, but you can't change hands.
Okay, wait. If I can just jump in.
Add Extreme Rules.
Like, you have the stipulation that Drew McIntyre can't win, and then Drew McIntyre comes out dressed as Captain Kirk and aces the Kobayashi Maru, which is an unwinnable scenario. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just watching too much Star Trek lately.
Probably. Maybe.
But the point is,
a horror show match? What are the chances this is a horror show match? And that's what the horror show at Extreme Rules is.
Oh, yeah. Dolph Ziggler's going to wear a sheet and pretend to be a ghost. Or just grow his hair out all the way.
Pete?
So what I think should happen in this match and what should be the stipulation is I think we should delve deeper into the Heath Slater stuff. And I know they probably can't. I know it's probably done and dusted. But if I was Dolph picking the stipulation, it would be a special guest referee match. Heath Slater is the referee. And if Dolph wins, Heath gets a contract.
That's interesting.
That's
really
how I
good.
would phrase it. And then you suddenly have the big build around that. You have all the emotions going on. You have Dolph, maybe early on Heath Slater like trying to counter quick pin and that. And then later on, like basically Drew... I would have Drew hit Dolph with 2 claymores. So basically he's out cold. He's completely out cold. And then he'll seize Heath. basically almost in tears, and then Drew lies down on his back, pulls Dolph Ziggler over the top of him to give him the job back, and he just basically shakes his head, pulls Dolph off him, says, Drew, get on top, and then counts the pin. So sacrifices his career for Drew to keep that title.
That's how I would trying to get the tearjerkers out? You trying to make me cry?
It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story.
That's how I would book it if I was in WWE. What's actually going to happen is Dolph Ziggler is going to pick some stipulation that favors him, like Dolph's allowed to use weapons or can't get disqualified, or Drew's not allowed to use a Claymore kick, something along those lines to stack the odds against Drew. Drew's going to win anyway. He's going to overcome the odds. He's going to pick up the win because that's how it works and that's how WWE do things. Drew's obviously winning. We'll move on to SummerSlam. God knows what he's going to do there because supposedly the match was going to be a triple threat between Randy Orton and Edge, supposedly.
Oh, really?
But that's obviously been scrapped.
I didn't know that. No.
So I don't know if it's just going to be a one-on-one versus Randy or whatever, but we'll see.
I think Randy's going to get a legend.
He's not dropping that title to Dolph Ziggler. So yeah, Drew's winning.
Archie has a good point.
I think Randy might get a legend at SummerSlam, and that's why I thought that Drew might take on Lashley again, because I know that did I say that properly? Randy's going to get a legend at SummerSlam. Yeah, I said that. I didn't say Drew. I think Randy's going to get a legend at SummerSlam because they're pushing him as this like greatest of all time. He's the legend killer. Like, you should be afraid of him. And he's already said, like, maybe I don't need a title. And as much as I'd love to see Drew versus Randy, I do think that maybe him facing, maybe not like what legend's even available though? Because it's not going to be Cena, maybe Triple H.
Yeah, we just did that at Super Showdown though last year.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know where they would actually go, but I do think that they're pushing for him to take on some sort of legend at some point soon. I just don't know who it would be because I don't know who's even available right now. Yeah, Shane maybe. Yeah.
You said legend, not a
yeah.
Sir, that is a legend.
Stephanie McMahon. Got it.
Goldberg.
She has taken another. No. Guys, I cannot I want to go one episode without having to explain how much I don't like Bill Goldberg. Oh my God.
Right.
If I have to keep coming back every week for this, Jesus.
Undertaker already.
It could be taken.
He's already come back.
So now, let's move on to.
Well, one thing, I just want to touch on one thing, and I promise it's not me trying more comedy. Pete, I like your idea with Heath Slater. I would say it's more likely. I would say it's pretty likely if I wasn't so sure that he's going to show up at Slammiversary. Yeah. Like, I feel like that's almost in the stars right now.
No, I wasn't saying whether it will happen or not. I just think that's what I would want.
It's a good idea, though.
It's a great idea.
I like it.
It's what I would want to happen.
It's a great idea. It's probably like the best idea that any guest has ever said on the show, or just better, well spoken than any guest on the show in the history of this.
It's not even as good as this Princess Bride one before.
Wolf had Brock Lesnar throwing barrels off a building.
Yeah,
don't become Brock Lesnar. How dare you?
Instead, we got humans thrown off buildings, and they became friends because of it.
All right,
isn't that why Alistair and Ray are like buds? Is because they're like both got thrown off. How did you end up thrown off the roof by Corbin?
So here's where we are now. Wolf and I have the exact same picks. RJ and Pete have the exact same picks.
You and Wolf don't have the exact same picks. You picked Braun.
Oh yeah, you're right. I am so sorry. I misread my graphic here, my notes here. So nonetheless, I could potentially avoid a tiebreaker situation. I don't think so. We're going to be regardless. We're going to have to set a tiebreaker here because what else are we good for in this podcast? That tiebreaker is going to be the length of the Wyatt Swamp fight because I think even though I was debating, it's either between this eye for an eye, but I'm leaning towards the Swamp fight.
Put thought into that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why.
How long does it take to take out 9?
I'm going to go first because last time y'all went crazy on me when I picked my time.
I was about to say you're going to be a bitch again.
I wonder why.
I think it's my podcast, my rules. I think I can do whatever. Let me be the Dolph Ziggler.
Your podcast, your rule. If it's your podcast, your rules, you should be winning more often than you do.
You should just name yourself champion like every week.
Come on,
yeah, well, Pete won, but
come on, Vince Russo.
Jose gets a 5-point head start in the prediction.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last time we see any of these.
The stipulation is that Jose can't lose.
This is the last time you'll see any of these three on the podcast. A SummerSlam, fresh new face.
I had a good run.
I'm gonna go with 21-15. I'm starting there.
Oh shit!
That was what I was gonna say.
21.
Actually, was what I was gonna say. Pretty close.
Pete.
Go
next.
I'll go 1841.
1841. Mr. Stacy?
I think we're gonna go north of 20 here. I have a feeling we got how many matches do we have total on this thing? What are we at? 7 or 8?
One,
Six
two, three,
confirmed.
four.
Six
Six
officially,
confirmed,
and then the bar fight.
Which we're not
Okay.
sure if it's part of it yet. I mean, even if it's not, like you take that match out and we're still in a tiebreaker.
That
situation.
match is a bye week anyway. You
Yeah,
know,
at the
we all
bye
have the
week
same pick.
anyway. Yeah, we all picked Jeff, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So let's see here. 6 matches. Drew and Dolph's gonna get some good time. I think Sasha and Oscar will get some good time. Let's go a little north of 20, but no crazier than that. Let's say 24 on the dot.
24 on the dot.
I'm allowed to go over, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
24 on the dot, and nobody else important is here to make predictions. So thank you, gentlemen, for a wonderful time. Wolf,
I'm gonna throw this CM Punk autographed Funko Pop at you.
you wouldn't want to damage a box and lose its value. So
It's
who's
got
really
a
losing
it's
here?
got a case. and
Who's
the case
really
just-
losing?
The case just fell
Yeah,
off.
the
the card.
loser, yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna say 22-30.
22-30.
I'm feeling pretty lucky.
Yes,
Okay.
I've got the under.
I gave Pete a lot of room, actually. I should have just taken
And
like 20 to
Miz
20
and Morrison are
minutes or
gonna win
something.
the title.
Yeah, you should have just gone like 18.
I didn't want to be that
42.
guy, though. I didn't want to do the
Yeah,
praise
because
because
those guys are
like,
bitches.
Say.
You should predict what you actually think and not what's tactically best.
You're telling me that if like you would not do anything to become champion?
Like I could just pick 1 second here.
Well,
Like,
Jose,
that's
I
almost
don't
like
need
what
to
I
do
should.
anything to become champion.
He's already the champion.
In the situation that you're not.
No. Like, if you'd all gone first, I would have still gone 1841, even though I could have gone like,
What if I had said
2014.
exactly 1841?
well, then I
Then we're
probably
doing the
would
tie.
I probably would have gone 1740.
Is there a tiebreaker for the
I was
tiebreaker?
gonna say I would assume we have to hope and see what the milliseconds are.
I
Anyways,
can't
Maybe we
all
should all just
three of
like
your
write our
times have gone
times
first.
down on a
I'd
piece
have
of
gone
paper so we all can't cheat.
Yeah, also.
And we'll expect
Then you see Jose's with 3 squiggles and then 1 second more.
I can't write mine down yet. They haven't posted the match time on Wikipedia.
well, thank you, gentlemen, for an entertaining, rantful pay-per-view predictions. We'll obviously see the gang here next week for the recap, because Lord knows where we're going to have to recap. That being said, thank you, gentlemen. Let's get to the closing. You made it to the end of the episode, and I had a feeling leading up to this that this would be a very overall boring predictions table in terms of like our picks, and boy, was I ever right. If you're watching on YouTube, here is the graphic to run down our predictions one more time. Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, we all picked Jeff across the board, assuming this is happening, and if it's not, of course, easily be taken out of the graphic. We all went with Asuka. We all went with Bayley. For the United States Championship, myself and Wolf went with MVP. RJ and Pete went with Apollo Crews. We all picked Seth Rollins for the eye for an eye match. Everybody but myself picked Bray Wyatt for the Swamp Fight, as I went with Braun Strowman. And of course, we all went with Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship, whatever the stipulation is. And the tiebreaker, which is a Swamp Fight, because clearly we're in a tiebreaker situation. I went with 21 minutes and 15 seconds. Wolf, 22:30. RJ with 24 minutes on the dot. And Pete went with 18:41. And on behalf of everybody that appeared on the show today, I am so sorry that our predictions were this boring. I hope we put up an entertaining show for you in regards to all these matches. Well, we are just so sorry this ended up being a very, very bland prediction show. And we're hoping that SummerSlam next month is way better. Of course, join us next week for the recap of all this after what we hope to be at least a somewhat entertaining pay-per-view. God, I hope it is. And if it's not, well, Lord help us all. And as always, that is that. Thank you so much for watching. Become a patron. Help support the podcast. Any support is greatly appreciated. Follow us on Facebook. Like us on Twitter. I should have said that the other way around. Available wherever you get your podcasts. And subscribe to us here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. I am Jose Tawada. We will see you guys next week. Have a great one. Bye.